Hi everybody, welcome to this random field in south central Kansas. I'm not at my homestead, but welcome to my channel. And I just had something I wanted to share. I miss doing videos like this, just like going out in the country or going outside and just recording things. I like it. Anyway, so I don't know if you saw, but I think it was like 5 days ago, there was a article published in the Salt Lake Tribune where they're talking about these people that are suing the church or taking the church to court over tithing. And I think, among other things, one thing that they're like trying to argue is that the church tricked them because when they joined the church, they never knew about Joseph Smith's Seer stone. And how if they had known that, well, they never would have joined the church, they never would have paid tithing. And so the church needs to, I guess, like pay them back or whatever it is that they're trying to do. But it's so bizarre to me that anyone would try to make that argument. Like, I can't imagine that argument having any validity against any church about any doctrine of whatever religion. Like, it's really silly. I was thinking about it, and it's like, you know, a lot of times I like to compare things to pop culture, and I was thinking, like, okay, what is this like? This is like you becoming a Star Trek fan. Like, Star Trek is already well established. It's been around for a long time. I think since the 60s. I believe that's when it started. But here you are in the year 2024. You never really cared for it much, but then you like become interested in it. And so now you're a Star Trek fan. And you start watching the series. Maybe you start with like the original series, and then you progress to the next generation, and you're like, okay, yeah, this is cool. There's the humans, but then you have Romulans and you have Klingons. That's awesome. And then there's Vulcans, and then there's Borg. There's Q. Like, there's this race of aliens that are like godlike, and they're called the Q. And then wait a minute, hold on. Ferengis? Really? There's Ferengis? Like, their ears are disgusting, and I hate their culture. And you know what? All the merchandise that I've ever bought, shirts or movie tickets or streaming service, like, I've been tricked because I did not know that there was going to be Ferengi, and Star Trek should have been up front that there was going to be Ferengi. Like, I can't believe it. So if I knew that there were going to be Ferengi, I would never have purchased any of this merchandise. I would not be wearing this clothes. I wouldn't have these posters. So I want all my money back. That is so ridiculous. The article was saying, like, oh, well, the thing is, like, this is a really key concept in the church. And no, it's not. No, it's not. You guys, okay. We are a church that believes that there were gold plates that have been preserved through time, that there was a colony of Israelites that came from Jerusalem just before it was destroyed by the Babylonians, and that there was this entire civilization here recording all this on gold plates. On top of that, we believe that there was a civilization before them that weren't even Israelites, the CHARITIES, and they had their plates. And then on top of that, we believe that Joseph Smith saw God the Father and Jesus Christ, and he handled the sword of Laban and the Urim and Thummim, and just all the unique things that we believe. Like, all these things that, unless you have a testimony, you just think it's crazy. And so you take like one random thing like Joseph Smith's Seer stones, and that's like just too crazy for you on top of all the other things that we believe. Like, there is one thing. Okay, so there was one obscure thing that I found one time by Lorenzo Snow. I did a video about this, and as far as I know, he's the only one that said this. But he said that during the millennium, the atmosphere is no longer going to be like it is right now. It's all going to be spirit. There's not going to be like an oxygen, nitrogen, and all the other gases atmosphere. It's all going to be spirit. You know, we have a lot of very unique beliefs in our church. And, you know, my understanding is that there's like some kind of debate over whether Joseph Smith used the Urim and Thummim or the Seer stone, or he used both. And I don't understand like these debates. I don't get into these kind of things. Not that I have anything against anybody that does, but I'm just not interested in that kind of stuff. I'm not really interested in Book of Mormon, geography, and all these like little niche, you know, topics that people debate over. But it really, really is not a fundamental belief. Like whether he used the Urim and Thummim or whether he used a stone. Like it's so ridiculous. It just feels like very contrived. It feels like, you know, the narcissist way of thinking. They always like resort to what they think are like these little legal arguments or loopholes or technicalities. Like they never just, it's basically like the Pharisee mindset, like looking for fault where there is none, trying to find some technical way to get what you want. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, it's just part of these attacks against the church. Sister Nelson, I think this is some of what she was talking about in October 2022. It was after that general conference. It was a special area devotional for Alberta and British Columbia, where she said that they knew that that conference was going to be a singular event because of the number of attacks in the lead up to that. And if I remember right, I think included in that was this like whistleblower guy that was like, oh my gosh, would you pay tithing if you knew that the church was saving money for the second coming? Ugh. Like in a church called the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, can you believe that they're saving money for the second coming? Oh my gosh. You guys, there are people in the church that do not actually believe the church. Because if you did, you would understand that the whole point of this church is to prepare for the second coming. That's why it's called the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's meant to prepare the world for the second coming. So yeah, having tithing being stashed away for the second coming, that kind of goes along with the mission of the church and what we believe in. But you must not believe in it. Otherwise, why are you having a problem with it? And tithing is all about sacrifice. It's about sacrifice. I've said this before, you know, the last time that we talked about this. If the church was loading pallets of cash onto rockets and shooting them up into space, and they said that these were like headed toward Kolob, I would not have a problem with it. Even if they weren't going to Kolob. If they were like, the rockets were being shot into the sun right there, I would not have a problem with that, because it's not about what it's being used for. Like, this isn't a government and it's like, oh, where's my tax dollars going? Like, how are my tax dollars being used? This is a sacrifice that you're making to God. You know, I would be happy if it wasn't illegal, just to burn the money, like take some cash and then burn it on an altar. That's what I would do. So it's supposed to be for you to help you overcome this world and not be so attached to this world and put God before worldly things and before your own desires. That's mostly what tithing is about. And it's the funds are used to build up the kingdom of God. It's meant for charity and humanitarian work. But yeah, we do have some literal beliefs in this church that there actually is going to be a second coming of Jesus Christ, and that there's certain expenses that go along with that. And I think part of those expenses, we've already seen it in the purchase of the Kirtland Temple. I believe that the Kirtland Temple was meant to come back before the second coming. I don't have anything to back that up. That's just my belief. So anyway, Satan is attacking the church. I think there's kind of like two things going on. So like you have the Jews, right? You have the two gatherings. You have the Jews that are physically gathering to the land of Israel. There's my van, by the way, used. We bought it with cash, and it's probably going to give up the ghost. There's Jenica. It's probably going to give up the ghost within the next year or two. So you have like the physical gathering of the Jews, and a lot of like physical temporal things going on with them, right? And then you have the spiritual gathering and somewhat physical gathering of Israel to the stakes of Zion. And I think what's going on is like you have this like growing hostility politically toward the Jews in Israel, especially. And then with the church, you have another kind of like siege that's going on. Like we know that this is all going to culminate in the siege on Jerusalem, right? That's when Christ is going to come and save the Jews. But I think there's also a siege on us, the other part of Israel. These attacks on the church, attacking us in any possible way. Whether it's on the individual level, you know, Satan trying to get you to not go to church, not pay tithing, feel ashamed about what you're doing, trying to shame you, to try and get you to not speak up and speak out and share your testimony. But then also on like the larger scale with the church as an organization, you have like these larger attacks. There have been cyber attacks, you have these legal attacks, there's political attacks, there's cultural attacks. You know, when you have these different groups that throw the church under the bus, that write plays and entertainment like the Book of Mormon play that slanders the church. Although we know that these attacks, like they can try and do their best, but it ends up like their attempts get turned on their own head. And like the Book of Mormon play, if anything, it seems like it's driven some people to the church, from what I understand. And in the case of Rabbi Gerfine, I don't talk to him anymore because he no longer is affiliated with Israel 365, but I used to talk to him on a monthly basis. And one of the first things that he said to me was that when he came to the United States, because he's from Israel, he lives in Jerusalem, but he is originally from the United States, he went to, I think, Broadway and watched the Book of Mormon play, and he picked up one of the programs, and he looked on the back, and our church had actually put like an advertisement on like the last page, like, and it said like, now that you've seen the play, come see the real thing, you know, get a copy of the Book of Mormon. And he was so impressed that the church wasn't like vitriolic or angry about it, or like, oh, this play is of the devil, or anything like that. It's just like, yeah, well, now that you've seen that, come see the real thing. And you know, it's not that Rabbi Gerfine converted to the church, but he was really impressed by that, and he told me that. And I think there are some people that maybe never gave the church a thought, and when they come across these things, they're like, huh, maybe there's something to this church. So whenever you have attacks like this, it can be discouraging, but just know that the enemy is digging a pit for themselves. They think that they're being like really smart, that they have like a really good plan, but it all gets turned on its head. So, but anyway, this is just like one of the latest examples of like something that I think is really silly. It's like such a silly argument. Like, yeah, okay, so what our missionaries are supposed to do is when somebody joins the church, we have to tell them everything, every little controversy, every little esoteric thing about the church before we can allow somebody to join the church. It's just silly. Like, if you were really that concerned about joining the church, if you were really making that decision and taking it very seriously, and you were that concerned about it, you would probably research the church yourself before even talking to the missionaries. The church has been around for a long time, you know, since 1830. That's when it was established. So just like Star Trek, if you're going to become a fan of Star Trek, just know that this has already been going on for a long time, and no one's forcing you to do anything. And so if there's something in Star Trek that you don't like, well, it's already been out there for a while. Maybe you should have done some more research. But it's also just kind of a silly thing. It's like, oh, so he used a brown stone instead of 2 clear stones. Oh my gosh, I'm done. I'm out. And I don't know why people get so bent out of shape about the hat, because I do believe that he used both the Urim Thummim and the Seer stone. I don't see any problem with that. Who cares? You know, so he used the Seer stone, put it in a hat to block out the light. Oh my gosh, that is so strange. Like, I never do that. Like right now, my phone, I'm facing the sun, and I have to block the sun with my hand to see what's on the screen as I'm recording this. Like, oh my gosh, is that, you guys, is that really occultic? Are you still gonna watch my channel because I had to block out the sun to see the screen? Oh my gosh. Okay, well anyway, that's gonna be it for this one. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share, and I'll talk to you guys later.